For this session, I wrote 45 words. For this session, I wrote 82 words. For this session, I wrote 67 words.
We have only to speak of an object to think that we are being objective. But, because we chose it in the first place, the object reveals more about us than we do about it. What we consider to be our fundamental ideas concerning the world are often indications of the immaturity of our minds. Sometimes we stand in wonder before a chosen object. We build up hypotheses and reveries. In this way, we form convictions which have all the appearance of true knowledge. But the initial source is impure. The first impression is not a fundamental truth. In point of fact, scientific objectivity is possible only if one has broken first with the immediate object, if one has refused to yield to the seduction of the initial choice, if one has checked and contradicted the thoughts which arise from one's first observation. Any objective examination, when duly verified, refutes the results of the first contact with the object. To start with, everything must be called into question. Sensation, common sense, usage however constant, even etymology. For words, which are made for singing and enchanting, rarely make contact with thought. Far from marveling at the object, objective thought must treat it ironically. Without this malign vigilance, we would never adopt a truly objective attitude. When we are dealing with men, our equals and our brothers, our methods should be based on sympathy. But when confronted with this inert world, whose life is not ours, which suffers none of our sorrows, nor is exalted by any of our joys, we must restrain all our enthusiasms, we must repress our personal feelings. The axes of poetry and of science are opposed to one another from the outset. All that philosophy can hope to accomplish is to make poetry and science complementary, to unite them as two well-defined opposites. This excerpt was from the introduction by Northrop Frye to Gaston Bachelard's Psychoanalysis of Fire. I thought it presented some interesting ideas on objectivity, which I thought was synchronous with my own personal studies in judgment versus discernment. Over the weekend, I finished The Myth of Sisyphus by Albert Camus. It took me about 5 weeks to get through. It is a great read. I feel that it combines the best of both worlds in philosophy and prose. It is aesthetically well done, definitely in my top 10 reads. I am glad that I read The Possessed by Dostoevsky before getting into this, because I don't think I could have appreciated this had I not read The Possessed first. Really, Kirillov is the main inspiration for this work, so you do have to experience Kirillov for yourself to really get into this, I think. Other new developments in my writing life, I picked up this ginormous book on Raphael's works. I did not know it was going to be this museum-sized book when I ordered it, because the dimensions weren't listed and the pictures made it look like it was a normal size book. Let me see if I can give you a demo of a page or so. Okay, that kind of works. I could lay it flat, but that's not as fun as carrying it. There are 49 full color plates and more than 875 illustrations in black and white in this tome. Let me try to give you a full color demo on this one. So I got this book because I wanted to study the faces of Raphael's people for some character inspiration. One could go about in real life and people watch, or just get an art book and study the faces in them. I don't like to people watch personally. I think it's really invasive, and generally I like to let people have their privacy. That said, I know there are a handful of people who don't mind being watched or studied or looked at. In fact, they like the attention, but I would rather err on the side of giving people their privacy. Of course, one can also draw character inspiration from people who have been involved in your life or just purely from imagination, but studying art books I think is also a great alternative for any of those pathways. I'm going to get to my writing session in a little bit, and then once I have that done, I will add that clip at the end.
For this session, I wrote 141 words.